Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 1, Text 43. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jyotiryata evodaka parti videshvadam samira veganugatam vibhavyate evam svamaya rachiteshva saukuman guneshu raganugato vimuhyati Jyotiryata evodaka parti vishvadaha samira veganugatam vibhavyate evam samaya rachiteshva saupuman guneshu raganugato vimuhyate. Vaishnavis, word by word. Jyotihi, the luminaries in the sky, such as the sun, the moon, the stars. Yata, as, eva, indeed, udaka, in water, parthiveshu, or in other liquids like oil. Adaha, directly. Samira vega anugatam, being forced by the movements of the wind. Vibhavyate, appear in different shapes. Evam, in this way. Swamaya rachiteshu, in the situation created by one's mental concoction. Asau, the living entity. Puman, person. Guneshu, in the material world, manifested by the modes of nature. Raga anugataha, according to his attachment. Vimohati, becomes bewildered by identification. Translation, so this is Vasudev preaching to Kamsa not to kill Devaki. So he's explaining the philosophy, that we are not the body. Translation, when the luminaries in the sky, such as the moon, the sun, and the stars, are reflected in liquids like oil or water, they appear to be of different shapes, sometimes round, sometimes long, and so on, because of the movements of the wind. Similarly, when the living entity, the soul, is absorbed in materialistic thoughts, he accepts various manifestations of his own identity because of ignorance. In other words, one is bewildered by mental concoctions because of agitation from the material modes of nature. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It's a long purport. It's almost 3 pages. Some of you will follow on your electronic device. Sometimes just hearing is a little difficult. Once Bhurijan Prabhu explained one technique to listen to the purport. He said it helps if one listens one sentence and repeats the same sentence in his mind. You might want to try that. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This verse gives a very good example by which to understand the different positions of the eternal spirit soul in the material world, and how the soul takes on different bodies. The hantara praptihi, the moon is stationary and is one. But when it is reflected in water or oil, it appears to take different shapes because of the movements of the wind. Similarly, the soul is the eternal servant of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when put into the material modes of nature, it takes different bodies, sometimes as a demigod, sometimes a man, a dog, a tree, and so on. By the influence of Maya, the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity thinks that he is this person, that person, American, Indian, cat, dog, tree, or whatever. This is called Maya. When one is freed from this bewilderment and understands that the soul does not belong to any shape of this material world, one is situated on the spiritual platform, Brahmabhuta. This realization is sometimes explained as nirakara, or formlessness. This formlessness, however, does not mean that the soul has no form. The soul has form, but the external, agitating form he has acquired because of material contamination is false. Similarly, God is also described as nirakara, which means that God has no material form, but is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. The living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Satchit Ananda Vigraha, but his material forms are temporary or illusory. Both the living entity and the Supreme Lord have original spiritual forms, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. But the Lord, the Supreme, does not change his form. The Lord appears as he is, whereas the living entity appears because material nature forces him to accept different forms. When the living entity receives these different forms, he identifies with them and not with his original spiritual form. As soon as the living entity returns to his original spiritual form and understanding, he immediately surrenders to the supreme form, the personality of Godhead. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 7:19. Bahunam jammavan ante jnanavamam prapadyate. When the living entity, after many births in different forms, returns to his original form of Krishna consciousness, he immediately surrenders unto the lotus feet of the supreme form, Krishna. This is liberation. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18:54, Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samha sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Quote, one who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Unquote. Surrender unto the Supreme Form is the result of bhakti. This bhakti, or understanding of one's own position, is the complete liberation. As long as one is under an impersonal understanding of the absolute truth, is not in pure knowledge, but must still struggle for pure knowledge. Kleshodi karatastesham avyakta saktachetasam, Bhagavad Gita 12:5. Although one may be spiritually advanced, if one is attached to the impersonal feature of the absolute truth, one must still work very hard, as indicated by the words klesho dikarataha, which means greater suffering. A devotee, however, easily attains his original position as a spiritual form and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form. Krishna himself explains the forms of the living entities in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he clearly says to Arjuna that he, Arjuna, and all other living entities who were previously in their original forms are separate individual identities. They were individuals in the past. They are now situated in individuality And in the future, they will all continue to maintain their individual forms. The only difference is that the conditioned living entity appears in various material forms, whereas Krishna appears in his original spiritual form. Unfortunately, those who are not advanced in spiritual knowledge think that Krishna is like one of them, and that his form is like their material forms. Avajananti mammudha manushim tanumashritam, Bhagavad Gita 9:11. Krishna is never puffed up by material knowledge and is therefore called Achyuta, whereas the living entities fall down and are agitated by material nature. This is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entities. In this connection, it is to be noted that Vasudeva, who was situated in a transcendental position, advised Kamsa not to commit further sinful activities. Kamsa, a representative of the demons, was always ready to kill Krishna or God, whereas Vasudeva represents a transcendentally situated person to whom Krishna is born. Vasudeva is the son of Vasudeva. Vasudeva wanted his brother-in-law Kamsa to refrain from the sinful act of killing his sister, since the result of being agitated by material nature would be that Kamsa would have to accept a body in which to suffer again and again. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.4, Rishabhadeva also says, Na sadhu manye yata atmano yam asanapi kleshada asa deha. As long as the living entity is entangled in the fruitive activities of so-called happiness and distress, he will receive a particular type of body in which to endure the three kinds of suffering due to material nature. Tritapayantrana. An intelligent person, therefore, must free himself from the influence of the three modes of material nature and revive his original spiritual body by engaging in the service of the Supreme Person Krishna. As long as one is materially attached, one must accept the process of birth, death, old age, and disease. One is therefore advised that an intelligent person, instead of being entangled in so-called good and bad fruitive activities, should engage his life in advancing in Krishna consciousness, so that instead of accepting another material body, tyaktva deham punarjammana iti, he will return home, back to Godhead. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om ajnanatimirandasya gyananjana sarakaya chakshuramitam yena tasmai shri guru Namam Vishwapadaya Krishna Bistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namni Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanshakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So here we are in the 10th canto, and Vasudeva is preaching to Kamsa. And he's giving some basic instructions. Of course, Kamsa is a demon. And so Vasudeva is just trying to give him the basics. We're not the body. And whatever we do in this body, it will have consequence. So if you do something sinful, like killing your sister, then you'll have to suffer. So don't do that. So this is basic philosophy, basic ethics, basic dharma. Of course, it's presented in a very sophisticated way in this analogy of the different liquids, that the luminaries in the sky, and they are fixed, and generally they have a round shape, like the moon or the sun. But when they are reflected on water or other liquids, oil, then due to the influence of the wind, the water moves, the liquid moves, and therefore the form of these luminaries is seen as moving, or seen as not the original shape, oblong or oval, sometimes fragmented, like that. One thing which is I find interesting is how Srila Prabhupada, although he's commenting on the 10th canto, and this purport was written in January or maximum February of 1977. This was the last year that Srila Prabhupada was in this world. But still you could see how enthusiastic he is in giving even the basic knowledge, again and again and again. If he wanted, he could have given a short purport, half page, one paragraph, because he spoke for so many years about these things. But no, he had this great drive, great enthusiasm to write a 3 pages purport, quoting many times the Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes, a couple of times he quotes the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So you could see how Srila Prabhupada, as the founder Acharya, has got this, maintains this enthusiasm to give knowledge, even basic knowledge. Because when one loves Krishna, he loves everything of Krishna. Some people, without mentioning any names, that's not the point, but some people feel that at one point they will only think of Krishna in Vrindavan or Krishna with the gopis. But the real lover of Krishna, he loves Krishna in every aspect of Krishna. So he loves Krishna when he speaks the Bhagavad Gita, and he's always ready to speak about Krishna speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So we see this manifestation here. And although this is, we could say, basic knowledge, is the ABC of spiritual life, we are not the body, and we take different bodies in touch with the different influences of material nature, the gunas, it's such a mysterious knowledge. People don't know. People believe, I am this body. This is my form. There is a very, almost total ignorance of this fact. People really think, I am this form, whatever shape this body has, whatever shape this mind has, that's me. That's who I am. And of course that influences the whole civilization. When one thinks is the body, then all the aims, all the objectives, all the dreams, all the hopes, all the aspirations are only in relation to the body. And this promotes or encourages sinful activities, because if this is all there is, only this life, it's all there is, it's all existence, there will be nothing after this body, then I can do whatever I want. Whatever gives me pleasure now, I can do it. I should do it. Because once I leave the body, there's nothing else. So whatever experience I want to go through, I should do it. The other day I was looking for a video, and sometime, before the video some advertisement comes. Those who go to YouTube, they know, okay? So I was looking for a video, I don't remember which one, and then one song came, one song in Spanish came. And the whole song was, the title was Bebe y Fuma, means drink and smoke. And there was one young singer, I know a little Spanish, so I said, what is this Bebe y Fuma? So there is this boy, maybe 18-year-old young, that basically preaches by singing. He preaches, he said, look, this life, it's all we have. Therefore, smoke and drink. Drink and smoke. Drink and smoke. That was the main, sutra. Bebe y fuma. Bebe y fuma. Drink and smoke. Drink and smoke because that's all, this gives immediate pleasure. You have to do it because the body, it's going to finish. So while you have this body, bebe y fuma. I was thinking, my God, it's really, there was really preaching. He was not just saying, oh, I like to smoke, I like to drink. He was really saying, you should do it. He was instructing his audience. Okay, so not knowing to be the body encourages activity that condition us in future lives. And in the world, in some places, there is discussion if abortion, kill the baby in the womb, should be allowed or not. And in many countries, it's allowed. And last year I was in Argentina, in South America, and there was a big debate in the country because there was somebody pushed a law that no, we can have abortions. So the whole country was in this debate. You could see posters all over the cities. And because Argentina has a lot of influence from the Christian Catholic, so at the end, the law didn't pass. So in Argentina, it's still illegal to commit an abortion, to have an abortion. But there was a lot of emotion and a lot of people in the street, big manifestations, big signs, basically saying, the body is mine and I should decide because the body is mine. Now let's analyze this. This morning I was listening to a lecture of Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada was saying, see, we are the proprietor of the body. They say, we are not really the proprietor. We are the tenant. We are the occupant of the body. So, when you rent a house, you don't become the owner of the house. That house does not start belonging to you. So Srila Prabhupada was explaining, these bodies don't belong to us, really. We live inside the body, and Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna is giving us a body according to the rent that we are able to pay, according to the karma. So somebody, because has a better karma, materially speaking, he has more punya, has more credits, he or she gets a body which is very attractive, very beautiful, very strong, very healthy, maybe very influential, in a very influential family, maybe very good brain, and so on. And somebody who does not have that much money for renting a body, he will get a body which is not very attractive, maybe a little ugly, maybe a little sick, maybe in a very insignificant family, poor family. He will not get much education. because that's the type of housing he can afford. I mean, we see this even in Mayapur. Some of you maybe are renting. How many of you are renting the place you stay? Okay, so few of you rent, so it's not your house. So you rent, and some places cost more, some places cost less. Now, I don't know the real estate situation in detail, but I know some are like relatively simple apartments, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 rupees, and some are much more expensive, 20,000 rupees a month. So according to your capacity, your budget, how much can you spend for your accommodation, then you will take a house, maybe very simple, maybe quite large, many rooms, maybe nice view, and so on. So similarly, this body, we are just renting this body. Sometime back I was reading somewhere, there is this famous Indian actress. Her name is Deepika Padukone. Some of you have heard. So sometimes she was criticized because she would do some films with not many clothes on. Okay? And some people criticize, how can you go like that, show your body to everybody. And she was saying, this is my body, I do whatever I want. So when I heard that, it's like, I thought, are you really sure that's your body? Do you have a receipt? I mean, what makes you think that it is your body? Okay, you're living in it, but where is the theory or logic or argument to say, because I live in this body, it is mine? Just like I'm sitting right now on this Vyasasana. Thank you very much for those who asked me to sit in this Vyasasana. But I'm only sitting on this Vyasasana for 1 hour. Tomorrow somebody else will sit. Next day somebody else will sit. I cannot claim that because I'm sitting on this Vyasasana is mine. Right now I'm using it. And it's appropriate for anybody else not to use it right now, because I'm using it for another 20 minutes. But I cannot claim it's mine. So similarly, we live in this body, and it's our, in a colloquial sense, it's our body, just like it's my Vyasasana or my mic, but just because I'm using it for a little time. It's not mine, doesn't really belong to me. I didn't build it, and ultimately don't maintain it. Like I don't maintain this mic. I don't know where it is plugged in, who pays the bill. There is an electricity bill, I'm not paying it. So I cannot claim it as my mic. I'm using it. So similarly, even our bodies, if we analyze, they're maintained by others. They're maintained, first of all, by material nature, who is like our mother, our matrix. She feeds us. She produces fruit. She produces grains. She produces vegetables. And the moon gives juice to the vegetables. And we eat those things. And so the body continues. Just like we don't, ultimately, it's not our food. So ultimately, it's not our body. So this is basic philosophy, basic understanding. But it's so rare. So people really think, I'm this body, and this body is mine. And therefore they think, I can do anything with this body. But it's not like that. Not only in relation to dharma, not only relation to some religious or philosophical consideration, sometimes even the state Sometimes even the secular legislators prohibit you from doing certain things with the body. For instance, the state may tell you, you cannot take this particular drug. You may say, but this is my body. Okay, until this body is in this country, you cannot take, it's banned. It's my body. No, it's your body, but you cannot put this substance inside your body. So there are some legislators in Delhi or in Washington, in Moscow, or in Tokyo, they sit together and discuss how people have to deal with their bodies. And there are certain activities, although they are private and individuals, that the state forbids. Like drugs. So even materially speaking, even from the secular point of view, this concept that the body is ours is limited, is false, it's not true. Colloquially, of course, that's my body, it's my body, I'm using it. But technically, even the mundane legislators can tell you what to do and what not to do with your body. So when we talk about abortion, it's even more complex, because we are not only talking about our body, we are talking about somebody else's body. In other words, you may say, somebody who wants to promote abortion, you may say that this is my body, and I want to do anything I want with my body. But the body that's growing inside you, if you're pregnant, that's not your body. They may be made by the food you eat, may be formed by some elements of your body, like your blood and other elements. But the fact that that body is inside your body doesn't make it your body. And you cannot kill it. Because it's not your body anymore, it's somebody else's body. Just like, for instance, say somebody by mistake or somebody comes and falls on the Vyasasana while I'm talking. Maybe somebody is extremely distracted, okay? Somebody is walking and he falls on me, okay? I cannot say, this is my Vyasasana, now you're on my Vyasasana, and so I can kill you. The fact that you are on my Vyasasana doesn't mean I can kill you. So the fact that the baby is growing inside your body and you're participating in creating that body doesn't mean you can kill it. So in Argentina, this was a major debate, and you may be surprised to know, but even some devotees, they were favorable to abortion. Somehow influenced by the local culture, what's on the newspaper, internet, how people talk. Some devotees were kind of, well, it's okay, no? And I was there to help with some reorganization of the management. So the GBC, Virabhau Prabhu, made like an emergency declaration. He said, if somebody needs to become part of the council, national council or temple council, they have to sign that they are against abortion. You may be surprised because, but that was the situation. He said, look, if you want to take any responsibility in ISKCON, you have to say clearly, you have to declare that you are against abortion. And so he had some devotees circulate a lot of quotes from Srila Prabhupada in Spanish, and so everybody read it like that, because it was a situation like that. So the point is that sometimes even practicing devotees, even initiated devotees, may get confused on the very basics of the philosophy. Because the gunas are always there. It's not just because we put a dhoti or a sari, now the gunas don't touch us. So sometimes we may get into very, very strange ideas. Some very strange ideas may seem palatable, seems normal, because there's so much propaganda, or maybe because we don't study the books very nicely, or just because we are a little bit in Maya. And so we develop strange ideas. So Vasudeva is explaining to Kamsa, look, you're not the body, you may think you are the body, so you may think that defending this body, because you heard, no, the 8 pregnancies of Devaki will kill you. So you want to protect this body, but this body is just a temporary experience, it's a temporary dream. Don't take it too seriously. Whatever you do in this body will have consequences. This is not your form, Kamsa, that's not you. In fact, Kamsa's previous life was Kalanemi, another demon. He was killed by Vishnu. And now it's Kamsa, and next life will be something else. So don't take it too seriously, Vasudeva is telling here. And especially, just like if somebody comes on the Vyasasana, I cannot kill him. Devaki may be on your chariot, but you cannot kill her. You cannot say, this is my chariot, and whatever, I can do whatever I want on my chariot. Because Devaki is on your chariot, now you can kill her? No, you cannot kill her. You have to protect her. So Vasudeva is trying to explain these basic things of philosophy and dharma to Kamsa. Any question or any comment? By the way, those who are on the internet, I asked the staff, they told me you could ask questions also online through that chat. And if you have any questions, you can write down on the chat. I hope somebody will bring it to me. Okay? Any questions? Yes, do we have mic? Can we get the mic to this young lady, please? Okay, thank you. Are you showing those who make questions here? Are you showing those who ask questions? No, but are you showing those who ask questions here? Are you showing on the... Please.
Hi Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for the class. You spoke about how we are not this body, and in the Prabhupada Prabhupada also talked about how all of us have an original form, which is Sachinanda Vigraha. So I was wondering, what does that form look like?
You're asking me what is your form? No, you're not asking that, right? Well, see, Srila Prabhupada explains is that right now that form is very, very, very small. It's like in a seed form. And that form is, sometimes it is said in the Upanishad, is 10,000 times the tip of the air. Now, 10,000 times the tip of the air, my understanding is only an image. It's only an analogy. You take something very, very thin, like the tip of the air, and you divide it 100 times. Then you divide it again, every part in 100 times. So that's the size of the soul. It's just an indication. Because in nanotechnology there are things much smaller than that. But it's an indication. So the soul is extremely small, but still has a form. It has senses. In fact, it is the senses of the soul that perceive reality. And like for instance, in the Prashna Upanishad is explained that it is the soul that sees, is the soul that touches, is the soul that acts, is the soul that smells, is the soul that tastes. Because the soul has senses. So it's a complete person. We are complete persons, very microscopic, submicroscopic, subatomic, but we are complete persons. And these functions of seeing, tasting, touching, they are departmentalized through the senses that we acquire. So we acquire these eyes, and we see certain things with these eyes. We don't see everything. Like for instance, one eagle has the eyes much more powerful than the eyes of a man. An eagle could, of course eagles don't know how to read, but if an eagle could know how to read, they could read the newspaper 1 kilometer distance. You put one newspaper 1 kilometer and the eagle could read it. In fact, you can see an eagle, almost all his head is eyes. In the head, it's a major proportion. You see, the head of a man, the eyes are a small proportion. But for an eagle, it's a much bigger proportion. So according to this, what the verse explains, according to the gunas, we take different senses. But the soul has senses, the soul is a person. And through the practice of bhakti, we realize, first of all, we are servants of Krishna. That's the general identity, universal category. And then one day, when we transfer to the spiritual world, this very small form, which is like a seed, as an analogy, is like a seed, it develops into the full Satchitananda Vigraha. But of course, different people will have different forms. Is that okay?
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is in relation to what said. Prabhuji, like you were saying that after we get to the spiritual world, there the form develops.
Sorry, after we get
After we get to the spiritual world,
yes,
there the form develops.
then the form
Develops.
or manifests.
Prabhupada also says that this world is like a dream state. We are like dreaming here. We all have a body in the spiritual world, and we are like a dreaming in that body.
We are what?
Dreaming, a dream state. So like I was just wondering, we already have a body which is, I don't know, it's lying there or whatever. Then how it develops. I also heard like in one lecture that it's like a sleeping state. You are sleeping there, your body is sleeping there, and you are in a dream state. When you wake up, it's just like a moment for the body that you were, for a moment you were out of the spiritual world, and then you woke up. But in that moment you had the experiences of all those years that you have passed on this earth, and then you don't want to have that consciousness again that you, for a moment you had, that you wanted to be enjoy or separate from Krishna. I was just wondering if you can comment on that.
Yeah. So, see, when we talk about philosophy, even Vaishnava philosophy, even Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, There are different thinkers, different devotees, different preachers that try to explain things, especially things which are sometimes inconceivable. They try to explain with different images, with different hypotheses, with different analogies, different allegories. So I also heard this allegory or analogy that we are in the spiritual world somewhere, maybe under a tree or something, and we are sleeping, or in our bed, whatever. We are in our bed sleeping, and we are dreaming to be in the material world. Now, for me to take seriously this, I need to see it in the Shastra. I'm not aware of anywhere in the Shastra that describes that. The Bhagavatam doesn't say that. The Bhagavatam, you don't see the soul anywhere before the soul being inside Mahavishnu. There is no description in the Bhagavatam. So, I respect the attempt to explain, because we are rational beings and we need to give some explanation. Like Vasudeva is giving some analogy, no? Just like liquid, the luminary is reflecting the liquid, but there is the wind, and so the form moves, or there's different shapes. So similarly, the soul is fixed, but in this world takes different shapes. But the difference is that this is in the Shastra. This is the Bhagavatam. That analogy or that explanation, I'm not aware is in the Bhagavatam. So I cannot give it a officialization, formalization, or public approval, because where it come from? So different ideas we need to see. Are they corroborated in Shastra, or it's an attempt to understand things that maybe even the Shastra don't explain in that way? As far as the dream state, one explanation of this dream state is that whatever we are right now, whatever we perceive as our identity, it will cease to exist. I'm a man, I'm a dog, I'm a tree, I'm a cat. After I leave this body, I'm not that anymore. So this is very similar to the nature of a dream. We all dream at night, and we experience different situations. And then when we wake up, that particular situation, circumstances, even type of body, sometimes our body flies or floats, but then we see, oh, the body doesn't exist anymore. So it was a dream. So in this world, what we perceive as our identity is a dream, because like a dream has a beginning and an end. And when we leave this body, we'll see that, oh, it was a dream. Just like if somebody can tell us what is our life, previous lives. We all have previous lives. We were somebody somewhere. Maybe there is still some record, right? Like, how old are you? 38. So you died some 40 years ago. So maybe there is some record, some photos, some documents that talk about that. But if you see those documents, you'll see them as a dream. Because you experienced that, but now it's gone. So in that way, our life is like a dream. Not necessarily because we are dreaming in the spiritual world. Okay? We have a question from the online. Fulvio. Online question. Can a victim of rape have an abortion? Okay, I only have 2 minutes. answer, and so I'll give you a short answer. No. No, because rape, it's a major crime, but the fact that you, not you, Fulvio, because you cannot get pregnant, you're a man, but if you are a victim of a crime, does not authorize you to commit another crime. So you don't solve adharma with more adharma. Of course, as you know, in many countries like Argentina, although abortion is forbidden, it is allowed when one lady is a victim of rape. In other words, she was raped, she was forced sexually, and so she became pregnant. So the state says that, well, you know, your sexual intercourse was not consensual, you did not agree, so you have no responsibility, you were forced to become pregnant, and therefore you can kill the baby. So in many countries this may be the situation, but I don't agree. I don't agree. That's the fact that one crime has taken place does not permit, does not authorize another crime. So rape is a crime, killing the baby is another crime. Now, maybe the lady doesn't want to have a baby, doesn't want to be a mother, maybe doesn't have the means to take care of the baby, so the state should take care of the baby. The state should take responsibility. There was a crime, a rape, there is an unwanted pregnancy, but instead of killing the baby, maybe the state should take care. Just like when the state puts a criminal behind bars, it spends hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars just to keep the criminal in the jail. It costs a lot of money. You have to build the jails, you have to give them food, you have to have very elaborated security. So just to keep a criminal in jail, the state spends a lot of money. Right? I mean, so the state, there has been a crime, the baby is not a criminal, but then the state, if the lady doesn't want to take care, either the state helps the lady to take care or takes care of the baby, which is much cheaper than keeping somebody in jail. So, my answer is, in many countries may be allowed, but I don't agree. I don't think you can have an abortion. In other words, you have been a victim of a crime doesn't authorize you to now be the perpetrator of another crime, killing the baby. So the answer is no. Thank you, Fulvio, for your answer. Thank you all for your attention and patience. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.